Smoking and vaping are often discussed as if they belong to the same category, but the reality is far more complex. For decades, cigarette smoking was one of the most common habits worldwide, deeply embedded in culture, advertising, and daily life. Then, seemingly overnight, vaping entered the scene, marketed as a cleaner, safer, more modern alternative. Sleek devices replaced burning tobacco, flavored clouds replaced smoke, and the promise was simple: fewer toxins, less harm, and a smarter way to consume nicotine. But beneath the surface of this promise lies a debate that is still unfolding, filled with misconceptions, partial truths, and serious health implications that many people never fully consider. To truly understand the difference between smoking and vaping, we must first understand what they are at their core. Smoking involves burning tobacco leaves at extremely high temperatures, producing smoke that contains thousands of chemicals. When tobacco burns, it releases nicotine, the addictive substance that keeps people hooked, but it also releases tar, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, ammonia, benzene, and dozens of other toxic and cancer-causing substances. Every puff of cigarette smoke delivers these chemicals directly into the lungs, where they quickly enter the bloodstream and travel throughout the body. This process damages nearly every organ over time, which is why smoking is linked to lung cancer, heart disease, stroke, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and countless other illnesses. Vaping, on the other hand, does not involve combustion. Instead of burning tobacco, electronic cigarettes heat a liquid, commonly known as e-liquid or vape juice, into an aerosol that is inhaled. This liquid usually contains nicotine, propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, flavorings, and various additives. Because there is no burning, vaping does not produce tar or carbon monoxide in the same way cigarettes do. This difference is often used to claim that vaping is safer than smoking. However, safer does not mean safe, and this distinction is one of the most misunderstood aspects of the smoking versus vaping debate. Nicotine plays a central role in both smoking and vaping. It is a highly addictive stimulant that affects the brain within seconds of inhalation. Nicotine increases heart rate, raises blood pressure, and triggers the release of dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. This dopamine release is what makes nicotine so addictive. Over time, the brain becomes dependent on nicotine to feel normal, leading to cravings, withdrawal symptoms, irritability, anxiety, and difficulty concentrating when nicotine levels drop. Whether nicotine comes from a cigarette or a vape device, its addictive nature remains largely the same. One of the major differences, however, lies in how nicotine is delivered. Cigarettes deliver nicotine rapidly and consistently, creating sharp spikes in blood nicotine levels. Vaping can vary widely depending on the device, the nicotine concentration, and how the user inhales. Some modern vape devices, especially those using nicotine salts, can deliver nicotine just as efficiently, or even more efficiently, than cigarettes. This means that while some people use vaping as a way to reduce or quit smoking, others may actually increase their nicotine intake without realizing it. The health effects of smoking are well documented and supported by decades of research. Smoking is one of the leading preventable causes of death worldwide. It damages the lungs by destroying the tiny air sacs responsible for oxygen exchange, leading to shortness of breath and chronic coughing. It damages blood vessels, making them stiff and narrow, which increases the risk of heart attacks and strokes. It weakens the immune system, making it harder for the body to fight infections. It accelerates aging, causes wrinkles, stains teeth, and contributes to osteoporosis and fertility problems. There is no safe level of cigarette smoking, and even light or occasional smoking carries significant health risks. Vaping, being relatively new, does not yet have the same long-term data as smoking. However, emerging research is painting a concerning picture. While vaping exposes users to fewer toxic chemicals than cigarettes, it still exposes them to substances that can harm the lungs, heart, and immune system. The aerosol produced by vape devices contains ultrafine particles that can penetrate deep into the lungs. It also contains volatile organic compounds, heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead, and chemical flavorings that can cause inflammation and lung irritation. Some of these substances are known to damage lung tissue and interfere with normal respiratory function. One of the most alarming aspects of vaping is its effect on the lungs. Cases of severe lung injury associated with vaping have been reported in various countries, drawing attention to the potential dangers of inhaling heated chemicals. While not all vaping-related lung injuries are caused by standard nicotine e-liquids, these cases highlight a critical point. The lungs are not designed to inhale anything other than clean air. Even substances considered safe to eat can become harmful when inhaled into the delicate tissues of the respiratory system. Heart health is another area of concern. Nicotine, regardless of the source, places stress on the cardiovascular system. It causes blood vessels to constrict, reduces blood flow, and increases the workload on the heart. Studies suggest that vaping may increase the risk of heart disease, especially with long-term use. While the risk may be lower than that of smoking, it is not negligible, particularly for young people who might otherwise have healthy hearts. A major difference between smoking and vaping lies in social perception. Smoking has become increasingly stigmatized over the years due to public health campaigns and smoking bans in public spaces. Vaping, in contrast, has often been marketed as trendy, high-tech, and socially acceptable. This has made it especially appealing to young people. Brightly colored devices, sweet and fruity flavors, and aggressive marketing have contributed to a surge in vaping among teenagers and young adults. Many young users who would never have smoked a cigarette have taken up vaping, believing it to be harmless or only mildly risky. This rise in youth vaping is one of the most concerning developments in recent years. Nicotine exposure during adolescence can interfere with brain development, affecting attention, memory, and learning. The adolescent brain is particularly vulnerable to addiction, making young people more likely to develop lifelong nicotine dependence. For many, vaping becomes a gateway rather than an exit, increasing the likelihood of transitioning to traditional cigarettes later on. Another critical issue is the illusion of control that vaping creates. Because vape devices do not burn tobacco and often do not produce the same harsh sensations as cigarettes, users may vape more frequently and for longer periods. It is easy to take dozens or even hundreds of puffs throughout the day without noticing how much nicotine is being consumed. This constant exposure can reinforce addiction and make quitting even more difficult. When discussing smoking versus vaping, it is important to address the idea of harm reduction. Some health experts acknowledge that for long-term adult smokers who are unable or unwilling to quit, switching completely from cigarettes to vaping may reduce exposure to certain harmful chemicals. However, this potential benefit applies only to smokers who fully replace smoking with vaping, not those who use both. Dual use, where people smoke cigarettes and vape at the same time, is common and significantly undermines any potential harm reduction benefits. Quitting nicotine altogether remains the healthiest option. Both smoking and vaping keep users dependent on a substance that provides no nutritional or health benefits and carries real risks. The longer nicotine use continues, the harder it becomes to quit, and the greater the cumulative damage to the body. Beyond physical health, smoking and vaping also affect mental and emotional well-being. Many people believe nicotine helps them relax or cope with stress, but this effect is largely an illusion. Nicotine temporarily relieves withdrawal symptoms, creating a brief sense of calm, followed by renewed cravings and anxiety as nicotine levels drop. Over time, this cycle can worsen stress and contribute to mood instability. Breaking free from nicotine often leads to improved mood, better sleep, and greater emotional resilience. Financial cost is another often overlooked factor. Smoking is expensive, with costs adding up quickly over months and years. Vaping is sometimes perceived as cheaper, but frequent device upgrades, replacement coils, and e-liquids can also become costly. Over a lifetime, the money spent on nicotine products could be used for education, travel, investments, or improving quality of life in more meaningful ways. Environmental impact also deserves attention. Cigarette butts are one of the most common forms of litter worldwide, polluting oceans and harming wildlife. Vape products contribute to electronic waste, including discarded batteries, plastic pods, and cartridges. Both habits leave a lasting environmental footprint that extends beyond personal health. Ultimately, the comparison between smoking and vaping should not be framed as a choice between two equal options. Smoking is unquestionably more harmful, with devastating and well-documented consequences. Vaping may expose users to fewer toxins, but it is not harmless, especially for non-smokers and young people. The safest and healthiest choice is to avoid both. The real conversation we should be having is not about which habit is better, but about how to support people in breaking free from nicotine addiction entirely. Education, honest discussion, access to cessation tools, and supportive environments are key to reducing both smoking and vaping rates. If you are a smoker considering vaping as a step toward quitting, it is crucial to approach it with a clear plan and the goal of eventually eliminating nicotine altogether. If you are a non-smoker or young person considering vaping, understanding the real risks may help you make a decision that protects your future health. Smoking or vaping may seem like personal choices, but their consequences reach far beyond a single moment or habit. Every inhale shapes your future health, your energy, your mental clarity, and even your freedom from addiction. The truth is, you don't need smoke or vapor to cope, relax, or feel alive. Your body is already designed to function at its best without nicotine controlling it. If this video helped you see smoking and vaping more clearly, share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. And if you want more honest, science-based content about health, habits, and long-term well-being, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next.